Good morning. I'm so sorry to have cancelled the class this weekend on Sunday morning, so I'm recording it instead so you can follow it on YouTube. So I'll hope you can follow this. So I'll be doing the yoga and talking you through it at the same time. So remember not to look at your screen all the time, just try and follow my voice. And obviously I won't be able to watch you to help you if you don't understand. So, but you can watch it as many times as you want and use it more than once. So we're going to start this in lying down in neutral. So come down onto your mat with your knees bent. And just have a little settle down into the ground. So starting with your head, you could tuck your chin under. Just a little bit, and then relax the weight of your head down into the ground. So the back of your neck feels long and soft. Feeling the backs of the shoulders dropping. Feeling the front ribs dropping. And the breastbone relaxing down. Feeling the back of the pelvis settling into the ground. We're going to be doing some things to do with the hips. So let's start by finding a place for the feet so your hips can relax for now. So it's these fronts, the fronts of the hips, where the front of the thigh meets the hip bones and the pelvis. So you might need to take your feet wider apart, closer together, turn your toes in, turn your toes out. Do what works for you so that you can completely relax your thighs and this group of muscles around your hips. And then we can use the belly breath to help to relax the hips and the legs. So feel that natural rise and fall of the breath in your belly. So there's a gentle doming up of your belly as you inhale. And as you exhale, your belly drops, softens and sinks down. The end of the exhalation, you might feel that your belly, there's a kind of a drawing down, a hollow feeling just behind the pubic bone, deep inside your belly. So to help you to tune into the belly breath, you might like a hand on your belly. So you're breathing into your hand. And the weight of your hand as you breathe out can help you to get a sense of dropping and relaxing your belly. So if you're a natural chest breather, then you might need your other hand somewhere on your chest so you can relax your arms, just to monitor that there's no movement or as little movement as possible in your chest as you breathe. So we're going to use this belly breath as we start to do some things for the hips. Starting by bringing your knees up to your chest, have a little rock. Feel the back of the pelvis on the ground. And then keep a hold of your right knee with your hands and slide your left foot away from you and completely let go of your left leg. So there's a softening, opening in the front of the left hip. And your hands are doing the work with the right leg, so you don't need to grip in the crease of the right hip. And the exhalation really helps you to feel into the spaces in your hips as you breathe. more breaths. And next time you breathe out, bring your left knee up, hang on to it, and let your right foot slide away. And we'll do the same thing on that side. So you're feeling the opening in the front of the right hip, softening in the fold in front of the left hip. Shoulders dropping, arms relaxed. Couple more slow breaths. So if you're finding it hard to breathe slowly, then you might like to count. So I apologise in advance for any people coming and going while I'm doing this. So bringing your legs up, so your feet are up to the sky, and then slide your right ankle down to your left thigh. And post your right hand between your legs and hold the back of your left thigh, dropping down through the shoulders. So just check that the back of your neck's not straining. And you might prefer to bend the knee, straighten it, waggle the ankle. That feels nice. But mostly what we're doing here is feeling into the right buttock. So we're releasing the back of the right hip now. And helped, of course, by the breath. Counting to breathe if you need to. So you might be counting to 3 on the in-breath and 5 on the out-breath, or 5 on the in and 7 on the out. Couple more breaths. Okay, changing sides. So your left hand posts through between your legs. Find what works for you. Knee bent, knee straight. Drop your shoulders. And breathe. So bringing your feet back down to the ground now, and take your feet a good distance away from each other. So your little toes come right to the edges of your mat, and then just start to waft your knees. So your knees both go to the left, both to the right. Oh, I've knocked into the wall. Both to the left, to the right. And see how it feels to move your head at the same time. So as your knees go to the right, roll your head to the right. As your knees come to the left, roll your head to the left. Do that a couple of times. So make sure your arms are out of the way, your shoulders are soft and dropping. And you're rolling across that bony ridge at the back of the pelvis. Okay, so now try your head the opposite way. So knees go to the left, head goes to the right. Knees to the right, head to the left. A couple of times. Okay, and then next time your knees come to the left, leave them there. Head goes to the right. And really let go of the weight of your knees now. So let them drop. And you'll feel an opening in the right hip and perhaps into the right side of your waist. Just let that happen. So completely letting go into the earth as if you're falling asleep. and the other side. Knees to the right, head to the left, and let go. Okay, bringing your feet back to neutral. And a little bit of coming and going now. You can go around the back of the computer and then you won't get in the way, but that's fine. It's just, yeah? Okay, another little knee hug. Hug your knees, have a little rock. Taking over the kitchen. So as you rock, you're rocking across that bony ridge in the back of the pelvis again, but also across the back of the shoulders, feeling into that space between the shoulder blades. So we're going to do a supine twist now, which is really trying to feel into the upper back. So keeping your knees hugged up towards you, take your legs down to the ground, spread your arms, and then unbend your knees a little bit and roll your head to the right. So your right shoulder might not get down, that's fine, just think it down. So feel through the weight of the back of the right shoulder. If it's really uncomfortable, then you could pop a cushion underneath the back of the right shoulder. But rolling your head to the right just helps to ease that right shoulder down. And if your top knee slides off the bottom knee, that's fine, just let go and breathe. Lovely, slow, deep belly breaths. And then you might like to feel that the breath is kind of coming up like a wave from your belly up into your rib cage, right up into your shoulders as you inhale, and then all the way out. Releasing from the inside. So this takes time. And perhaps your right shoulder is a little bit closer to the ground now. Doesn't matter if it's not, but you might just notice if it is. And let's change sides. So you can change sides by first bringing your right knee up towards your chest, and then your left leg will follow. Then you're coming back into hugging your knees. And so if you've got space, you might need to just shunt yourself a little bit now to make space for your legs to roll down to the right. Keep your knees up towards your chest and then kick your feet out. Rolling your head to the left. And just notice, is this side different? So it might be that your left shoulder is a bit closer to the ground on this side or a bit further up. So we're not symmetrical, but yoga does help us to ease out those asymmetries that we have in our bodies. Help us to balance. So find that breath again into the belly, up into the ribs, right up into the shoulders on the inhale. And exhaling, letting go. Few more lovely, deep, wave-like breaths to help you to ease out any tightness in your upper back and shoulders. All the way to the end of every out-breath. So to come out of this, you could bring your left arm over to your right arm. And if you've got space wherever you are, just roll yourself over onto all fours. I've got to go the other way. So from your side over onto all fours, and then organise yourself onto all fours, and just spend a moment reorientating yourself. So get that lovely spreading feeling in your hands, all the pads of the hands dropping into the ground, knees beneath the hips. So you're forming lots of right angles and a nice square, neutral all fours position. And that includes your neck being in line with the rest of your spine. So starting to rock back and forth. And it feels like your spine is flat and level with the ground. Sliding back and forth. Easing into the wrists. Into the lower back. Hips travelling back towards your heels. And then tucking your toes under and still rocking. So you're easing out your feet now. Feeling that lovely stretchy feeling in the sole of the foot. Okay, and then untucking the toes and sit down on your heels. Just going to check that you can see me. So with your heels, you can either have them apart or together. So have a go. If you can get your heels together, they can kind of wedge between your sitting bones, and that can be quite interesting for the ankles. If that's really uncomfortable for you, then use your blanket, and you can use the blanket either underneath your feet or underneath in kind of the crease behind your knees. And have a little wiggle, feel your sit bones dropping into your heels. Just make sure you're not sticking your bottom out, so feel the back of your pelvis is dropping, sinking down. And from here we can do a side bend. So taking your left hand onto the ground beside you, keep your right hip dropping, right sit bone attached to your right heel. Let your left ear drop down towards your shoulder so you get a lovely curve shape in your spine, curling over to the left, and then your right arm can come up and curl over as well. So there's that lovely opening in the armpit, separation of the ribs. Lots of space for your right lung. So as you take a slow breath in, you can feel your right lung expanding into the space you've created. Softening as you exhale. A couple more breaths. Keeping the right hip dropping. And as you exhale, coming up. And then keep going over to the right hand on the ground. Keep your left hip dropping, curling over so your right ear drops to your right shoulder, getting that curling shape in your spine as your left arm comes up and over, joining in with the curl. Left lung, loads of space. Expanding, inflating your left lung. And then on your next exhalation, drop your hips down into your heels and come up. And come back over onto all fours. And let's relieve the ankles. Taking your one leg back, doesn't matter which, tuck the toes under. Reach your hands into the ground. And with a little bend in your elbows, you can use that reach through your hands to take your heel, your back heel, further back. So you need to straighten that leg, and then you'll get that lovely stretchy feeling in your calf. Give it time. On the other side. So important to have a nice grippy yoga mat. So your toes are gripped. Hands can reach down, taking that heel further back, straighten the leg. Do I need to remind you to breathe? So in these slow yoga postures, the breath is always with you. The breath holds you in the present moment. Feel yourself kind of getting a bit bored and wanting to move on to the next thing, the breath just helps you to stay present and not worry about what's coming next or what happened a few minutes ago. Okay. And then bringing your knees together and drop yourself down into child pose. Use your arms to support your forehead if you need it, or just let your forehead drop down. And having a little wiggle across your hips to help your pelvis to drop into your heels. And then just settle down. Okay, so from here now, reach your hands further forward. So your bottom can come off your heels a bit, but reach your hands as far forward as you can and straighten your arms so your elbows are off the floor, and then let go of your head. And the grippy yoga mat helps again to hold your hands where they are, and this should be quite a strong opening in the shoulders, upper back. And then coming back up onto all fours. Bring your hands beneath your shoulders again. Tuck your toes under. Have a little rock. So we're going to go up into dog pose via puppy dog. So rocking back and forth. And then leave your hips back. Let go of your head. Get that opening in the armpits and the shoulders, and then your knees can come up off the floor. Keep your chest reaching down towards your knees, and then your hips can lift, legs can straighten, and paddle your dog. Walk the dog to ease out your calf muscles nice and slowly. First dog of the day. And then bending your knees again, take your hips back to your heels, and then drop your knees, uncurl your toes, sit up on your heels again. Starting to warm up. Let's do some shoulder rolls. So bringing your shoulders right up to your ears, so you have a V shape in your collarbone, and then taking your shoulders back. Make sure you don't stick your bottom out as your shoulders go back, and then down with the shoulders, forwards, up and back and down, nice and slowly. Kind of, maybe if it's not too scream making, then you could imagine your shoulder joints kind of sloshing around. Okay, and then back onto all fours, tuck your toes under, hips back, back up to dog. So let's see if we can do a kind of a shoulder roll from here. You might need to have your knees bent, and then there's more movement possible in the upper back. Okay, and then just hang out. So feel your ears dropping down away from your shoulders. Chest easing back towards your knees. Relax your belly.
And breathe nice and smoothly, perhaps feeling your side and back ribs moving as you breathe. Just hanging out in dog. And then bending the knees, hips back towards your heels, and have another rest in child pose. And this time you can see how it feels to rest your arms down by your sides, forehead on the floor, with your palms upward, and then completely let go of the weight of your elbows. And you might feel a nice spreading feeling across the back of the shoulders. Allowing your heartbeat and your breath to come back to normal. Okay. And then one more time into dog pose. We're going to go from dog pose to a forward bend. So I'll talk you through that. Hands reaching into the ground, toes tucking under, back into puppy dog, hips back, knees lift, and then the hips lift. Keep your knees bent and lift up your right hand and step it one step closer to your right foot. Pick up your left hand, take it towards your left foot. Right hand, walking your hands until your heels arrive on the floor, your chest arrives on your knees, and just hang out now. The upper body hanging off your pelvis. Don't worry about the hamstrings. Just let go of your head, let go of your arms, wherever your arms need to go. But you're not leaning into your hands, they're just hanging. And now bring your hands forwards and come onto your fingertips. Bend your knees and come into a squat. And look up. And then drop your chin. Lift your hips. Drop your heels and come back to the forward bend. So we're going to go in and out of these two positions, and we can get quite fast with the breath. So as you bend your knees and come back to the squat, looking up, breathing in, and breathing out, drop your head into the forward bend. Stay there, breathe in. As you breathe out, bend your knees, come back to the squat. Look up and breathe in. Exhale, drop your head, drop your heels, forward bend. Breathing in. I'm just going to walk forward so you can see me better. Don't you do it. So coming in and out of this, always doing the movement on the exhale. Breathing in as you look up from the squat, breathing out into the forward bend. When you breathe in a forward bend, you might feel it in your back ribs, or that space between the shoulder blades. So carry on doing that a couple more times. I'm just going to move the camera for the next bit. So in and out of your forward bend. And then next time you land in your forward bend, keep your knees bent and then slowly roll yourself up to standing. So your chin stays down on your chest as you slowly curl up and arrive standing. So once you're there, have a little walk out. Notice how your hips feel. You might want to shake your legs a bit, shake your arms, shoulders. Lovely. Okay, so let's do that, the squat forward bend flow, but with the coming up to standing included. So starting standing, drop your chin, roll down into the forward bend, nice bend in the knees. Find the ground with your fingertips, come to a squat, looking up. Drop your chin, come back to the forward bend and roll yourself up. When you're ready, roll down again. So you might just want to let your breath flow smoothly, or see if you can find your own way of synchronizing the breath. So I always like to do the movement on the out breath, but it might feel different for you. So just keep doing this a few more times. You could even speed up a bit more. So this is one of those things that's really good to be able to do easily, everyday functional mobility, it's called. So to reach under the sink, squat down and sweep the floor, pick your things up, whatever it is. Gardening. So you're keeping your hips, your knees, your ankles, toes all nice and strong and flexible. Of course, you might be somebody who can squat with your heels down. So don't worry if you're not, but if you can, have a go of doing this with your heels down the whole time. Okay, well done. So let's do a little bit more. So as you come up to standing now, just have a little walk back and forth. And then next time you land with your right foot forward, so just a little step, straighten out your feet. So all of your toes are pointing towards a short edge of your mat. So we don't want an angle in the back foot. And then we can feel that our pelvis is nice and square, hip bones facing forwards, dropping down through your left heel and bending the right knee. Keep the right heel dropping, right leg strong and straight. And then the arms can come up and you get lovely opening up through the front of the body, looking up if that feels okay for you. And then bringing the arms down, keep on coming down and take your right elbow onto your right knee. Keep your left hip where it is as you turn your chest to the left, look to the left, and if it's okay, lift your left arm. You can leave the back of that hand, your left hand on your lower back, if that's better for you. Make sure you're not looking behind you, because that will swing your pelvis out of alignment. So both feet are dropping, rotating your chest to the left, looking up to your left hand if that feels okay for you. So you're rotating into your neck and into your upper back. And of course, breathing. A couple more breaths. And then a bend in the left knee as you come up when you're ready. Swinging that arm down. Walk it out. Notice how those hips feel. Okay. Next time you land with your left foot forward, leave it there. Drop down through the back of your right leg into your heel. Just check your toes though. All of your toes pointing straight ahead, hips pointing straight ahead. Right heel drops as your left knee bends. Then you might get a little opening feeling in the front of the right hip. And then as the arms come up, the front ribs lift and you get that lovely space, length up through the front of the body. Looking up if that feels okay. And just check you're not hunching your shoulders up. Dropping your shoulders. So this is warrior one. And then we're going to come into Parsvottanasana. So tilting your upper body down, bring your left elbow to your left knee, turn and look to the right, and then your chest rotates to the right as well, and perhaps your right arm can lift or rest. So again, check you're not looking behind you. Rotating a little bit more. If you look up to your right hand, your feet are really well planted on the ground. Breathing. And then bending the back knee to come up. And walk it out. So we'll finish with the warrior sequence. So this is a bit faster. So next time you land with your right foot forward, you might want to just a slightly bigger step. All of your feet pointing straight ahead. Drop into the left heel, right knee bends, arms come up. Getting that real sense of your hips facing the same direction as your toes as you turn to your left, but upright. And then your arms can spread, dropping the shoulders nice and soft in your elbows. You're rotating towards your back foot, and your right knee stays exactly where it is. Your feet stay where they are, and your left hip has not swung back. So your left hip is still pointing in the direction of your toes. So if it's okay, look back to your left hand. This is warrior 2. So we're going to come in and out of this. So you have lots of practice keeping your hips facing forwards and your shoulders dropping. Okay, from here back into warrior 1, arms come up. And then coming up onto your toes of your back foot, shift your weight into your right foot. Your right knee straightens, tilt your body forwards, folding at the hips, and then perhaps your left leg can lift. A little bit of a wobble's fine for your right big toe, really helping you to balance just for a moment, and then replace your left foot into the toes, into the heel, back into warrior 1, rotating into warrior 2, arms spreading, dropping, check that left hip, back to warrior 1, looking up if you want to, and then over into warrior 3, as you tilt forward, left leg lifts. Replacing the foot, warrior 1, warrior 2, rotating to the left, warrior 1, 3, so speed it up a bit, 1, 2, 1, 3, it's a shame it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, isn't it? But you have to go via warrior 1 to get to 3. So straightening your standing leg when you're in warrior 3 if you can. Keep going. Doesn't matter how long you balance for. Doesn't matter if you need to leave your toes down. 1. So in your own time now, a couple more times. Okay, finishing on a 1, relax your arms, have a little walk, shake out your arms, feet. Okay. So the other side, as you land with your left foot forward, toes pointing straight ahead, align your hips, drop down through your right heel as your left knee bends, arms coming up into warrior 1, hips facing straight ahead as your arms spread and you rotate to your right. Drop the shoulders. Back to warrior 1. So you can look up if you want to when you're in warrior 1, and then tilting forward into warrior 3. First time balancing on this leg. So find it. Find your huge footprint on the ground. Big toe helps. Back to warrior 1, 2, 1. So remember, as you rotate into warrior 2, your left knee stays where it is. It stays there as you rotate back. In and out. get quite fast. Breathing, of course. So the warriors are strengthening poses, focusing, strengthening the legs and the arms and the trunk. All those muscles down your back, buttocks, shoulders. Okay, one more round. Finishing on a 1 and then walking it out. Shake out the arms. So standing for any length of time like this is quite nice to counterpose the toes. We haven't done this in class this week. So roll your toes over onto the tops of your nails, tops of your toes, and roll around the knuckles of your toes, circling. Another foot, roll onto the tops of the toes. Circling around. Okay. And so it's time for relaxation now, so make sure you're warm. Blankets, jumpers, cushions, socks. Is it cold enough yet for socks? If you've got an eye pillow, you might like to pop an eye pillow. Just going to get mine. Your eyes. So as you come down to lying down, just start with your knees bent. Organise yourself. Eye pillow, specs off. Blanket around the feet. When you're ready, drop your legs down, slide your feet away. So your breath and your heartbeat might still be recovering from that warrior sequence. So spend a moment just tuning in to how that feels. Noticing your heartbeat. Perhaps starting to slow down the breath. And feel down through the back of your head where it's resting on the ground. Separating your teeth a little bit so that your jaw muscles can relax. And then there's a nice softening into your throat, into the front of the neck. And then that softening through the throat and the neck can drop down into your shoulders. So your shoulders let go into the earth. Backs of your arms resting. Letting go of the weight of your rib cage and your breastbone. Every little out-breath helping you to let go of your belly and its contents, all your guts settling down. Weight of your pelvis resting. And just noticing how your hips feel, how the fronts of your hips feel, especially. And then your thighs. Fronts of the thighs, backs of the thighs. Notice your knees. So after all those worries, your knees might feel quite warm. And noticing how your feet feel. Your heels are resting on the ground. Notice your toes. And then spend a few moments doing absolutely nothing, just resting on the ground, letting go. And just letting your mind wander wherever it needs to go. So I'm going to end the video now and leave you relaxing. Until next time I see you in class, and relaxing for as long as you need to.